Real people with real abilities that work under laboratory conditions. People whose brains or bodies function in ways that shouldn't be possible. Neurologists have scanned their brains. Physiologists have measured their vital signs. Researchers have conducted controlled experiments. And the data shows something extraordinary. These people can do things that violate what we think we know about human limits. This is Detective Vera Nash. And these are the people with abilities science can't explain. Person number 1. Daniel Tammet. Daniel Tammet. Born 1979 in London, England. He is a savant. But unlike most savants, he's also highly functional. He can describe what's happening inside his mind. And what he describes shouldn't be possible. Tammet has synesthesia, a neurological condition where senses blend. He sees numbers as shapes and colors. Each number has a unique appearance and personality in his mind. The number 9 is large and blue. 5 is a clap of thunder. 6 is sad. This alone is interesting but explainable. Synesthesia occurs in about 4% of people. Cross-wiring in the brain causes it. Not mysterious. But Tammet's mathematical abilities go far beyond synesthesia. He can perform complex calculations instantly, not by computing, by seeing the answer as a landscape. He describes mathematical problems as visual shapes that combine to form the solution. In 2004, Tammet recited pi to 22,514 digits. From memory. It took him 5 hours 9 minutes. No errors. He memorized the digits by seeing each number as a unique shape, then connecting them into a continuous mental landscape he could walk through. Scientists can't fully explain this. The brain's capacity for memorizing random sequences is limited. Most people can remember about 7 digits. Memory champions using advanced techniques can reach a few hundred. 22,000 is orders of magnitude beyond that. Tammet also learns languages impossibly fast. In 2007, he was challenged to learn Icelandic in 1 week. Icelandic is notoriously difficult. Complex grammar, unusual vocabulary, native speakers take years to master it. After 7 days of study, Tammet was interviewed on Icelandic television, speaking Icelandic fluently. The host said his pronunciation and grammar were nearly flawless. In 1 week. Neuroscientists at the Center for Brain and Cognitive Development studied Tammet extensively. They confirmed his abilities are genuine. Brain scans show unusual activity in regions associated with numerical processing and visual imagery. But they can't explain how his brain performs calculations so rapidly or stores so much information so efficiently. Tammet had a series of epileptic seizures as a child. Some researchers believe this rewired his brain, created unusual connections. But that doesn't explain the mechanism. How does his brain access and process information this way? Why can he perform in minutes what would take others years? He's written books describing his experiences. Born on a blue day and thinking in numbers. He tries to explain his thought processes, but even he admits he doesn't fully understand how his mind works. It just does. Daniel Tammet represents an extreme of human capability that neuroscience struggles to explain. His brain functions in ways that shouldn't provide such advantages, yet they do, consistently, measurably, without any indication of how. Moving to person number 2. Person number 2. Wim Hof. Wim Hof. Born 1959 in the Netherlands. Known as the Iceman. He can withstand extreme cold that would kill most people, not through protective equipment, through mental and breathing techniques that generate internal heat. Hof has set multiple world records. He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro wearing only shorts. He ran a half marathon above the Arctic Circle. Barefoot, in shorts, in 20 degrees below 0 Celsius. He sat in a container filled with ice cubes for 1 hour, 52 minutes, 52 seconds. These aren't stunts done quickly and ending in hypothermia. Hof maintains normal core body temperature. His extremities don't suffer frostbite. He remains comfortable in conditions that cause severe injury or death in others. Scientists didn't believe it at first. Cold exposure kills through 2 mechanisms: hypothermia as core temperature drops, and tissue damage as extremities freeze. Hoff should be experiencing both. He doesn't. In 2011, researchers at Radboud University in the Netherlands studied Hoff extensively. They monitored his core temperature, skin temperature, heart rate, and metabolic rate during ice immersion. The results were extraordinary. Hoff's core temperature remained stable. His skin temperature stayed higher than expected. His metabolic rate increased dramatically. He was generating heat internally. Through breathing techniques and mental focus, he maintained thermal homeostasis in conditions that should overwhelm the body's thermoregulation. Hoff claims his method is trainable. He's trained others. In 2014, researchers tested this claim. They took 12 healthy volunteers, taught them Hoff's breathing techniques and cold exposure training, then exposed them to ice immersion. The trained subjects performed significantly better than controls. They maintained higher core temperatures, showed less stress response. One subject remained in ice for 80 minutes without distress. Then came the most surprising test. The researchers injected subjects with endotoxin, a bacterial component that triggers severe immune response, fever, inflammation, flu-like symptoms. Everyone gets sick from it, except Hoff didn't. When injected with endotoxin, Hoff showed minimal immune response. Barely any symptoms. His immune system remained suppressed through conscious control. The researchers repeated the test with Hoff's trained volunteers. Same result. The trained subjects showed 50% reduction in inflammatory response compared to untrained controls. They consciously suppressed their immune systems. This shouldn't be possible. The autonomic nervous system controls immune response. It's involuntary. You can't consciously control it. That's what autonomic means. Yet Hoff and his students did exactly that. Neuroscientists have studied Hoff's brain during meditation and breathing exercises. Brain scans show unusual activity in regions associated with pain modulation and autonomic control. But the mechanism isn't understood. How does his conscious mind influence supposedly involuntary systems? Some researchers propose Hoff generates heat through brown adipose tissue activation. Brown fat produces heat through thermogenesis. Infants have lots of it. Adults have very little. But even if Hoff somehow activates brown fat efficiently, that doesn't explain immune system suppression, or how he trains others to do it quickly. Wim Hof demonstrates control over physiological systems that medicine considers involuntary. He does so consistently, under laboratory conditions, with measurable results, and he can teach others to replicate it. Science has documented what he does, but not how. His abilities violate fundamental assumptions about human physiology, yet they're real, tested, proven, unexplained. Moving to person 3 in part 2. Person number 3. Isao Machii. Isao Machii, born 1973 in Japan. Master swordsman, holder of multiple Guinness World Records for sword-based feats. His reaction time and precision exceed what should be humanly possible. In 2013, Machii cut a BB pellet fired from an airgun with a sword. In mid-flight, the pellet was traveling at 200 miles per hour. He saw it coming, drew his sword, positioned the blade, and sliced the pellet in half. High-speed cameras captured it. The pellet splits cleanly, both halves visible in the footage. The entire sequence from pellet firing to sword contact took less than 1/10 of a second. Human reaction time averages 0.25 seconds. Elite athletes can reach 0.2 seconds. Machii reacted in under 0.1 seconds to a small projectile moving at 200 miles per hour, then precisely positioned a sword blade to intersect it. The math doesn't work. From the moment light from the pellet enters his eyes, the signal must travel through the optic nerve, reach the visual cortex, be processed, generate a motor command, travel through motor neurons to muscles, and execute the movement. That process takes longer than 0.1 seconds, even with perfect neurology. Yet Machii did it. Repeatedly. He's cut tennis balls traveling over 100 miles per hour. He's sliced arrows in flight. Each time, high-speed cameras confirm he's actually doing it. Not camera tricks. Real cuts. Impossible reaction time. Sports scientists have studied Machii. They find his visual processing is exceptional, but not superhuman. His muscles aren't unusually fast twitch. His nerve conduction velocity is normal. There's no obvious physical advantage explaining his performance. One theory suggests anticipation. Machii isn't reacting, he's predicting. His brain calculates trajectory from the earliest motion cues. He begins his sword draw before the pellet is actually fired, based on tiny pre-movement indicators from the person firing. But tests with mechanical launchers eliminate human cues. Machii still succeeds. He cuts projectiles fired by machines that give no advance warning. Somehow, his brain processes visual information and generates motor responses faster than neuroscience says is possible. Brain scans show unusual activity in Machii's cerebellum during these tasks. The cerebellum coordinates movement, but even enhanced cerebellar function shouldn't enable reaction times this fast. The neural speed limits are well established. Machii exceeds them. He describes his state during these feats as mushin, no mind, a Zen concept of acting without conscious thought, pure reflexive response. Maybe his brain bypasses normal processing, uses some shortcut pathway neuroscience hasn't identified, or maybe human reaction time isn't as fixed as we think. Maybe under the right conditions, with the right training, the brain can operate faster than we've measured. Machii proves it can. We just don't know how. Isao Machii represents the far edge of human reaction speed. He performs feats that neuroscience says shouldn't be possible, yet they're documented, measured, repeatable, and completely unexplained. Moving to person 4. Person number 4. Stephen Wiltshire, born 1974 in London. Diagnosed with autism at age 3. Didn't speak until age 5, but he could draw, with photographic precision. Wiltshire can look at a complex scene once, then draw it from memory with extraordinary accuracy. Not just the general layout, every detail, every window, every architectural feature, perfectly placed, correctly proportioned. In 2005, Wiltshire flew over Rome in a helicopter for 45 minutes, looking at the city. Then he drew an aerial view of Rome from memory, a 4.5-meter drawing showing hundreds of buildings, thousands of windows, street layouts, architectural details. When compared to satellite imagery, his drawing was accurate, building positions correct, proportions right, details matching, from 45 minutes of observation, drawn entirely from memory. He's done this repeatedly. London, New York, Tokyo, Singapore. Each time, he observes the city briefly, then spends days drawing what he saw. The results are architecturally accurate panoramas showing impossible detail. Memory researchers are baffled. Human visual memory is limited. We remember gist, general layouts, not specific details like exact window counts or precise proportions. Yet Wiltshire remembers and reproduces everything. Brain scans show unusual activity in Wiltshire's visual cortex and hippocampus when he's drawing. But the scans don't explain how he stores so much visual information, or how he accesses it so precisely. One theory suggests eidetic memory, photographic memory, the ability to recall images in perfect detail. But eidetic memory is rare and usually fades quickly. Wiltshire maintains detailed memories for days while drawing. That's not how eidetic memory works. Another theory proposes his autistic brain processes visual information differently. Maybe it prioritizes detail over meaning, stores raw visual data rather than interpreted scenes. But even that doesn't explain the capacity, the sheer amount of information he retains and reproduces. Wiltshire also has perfect auditory memory for music. He can hear a piece of piano music once and play it back perfectly. Complex classical compositions, jazz improvisations, anything, one listen, perfect reproduction. This suggests his memory advantage isn't limited to visual information. It's something more fundamental. His brain stores and retrieves information with a fidelity that shouldn't be possible, given what we know about neural encoding. Neurologists studying Wiltshire note he's highly functional despite autism. He communicates, he travels, he runs his own business. This is unusual for someone with such extreme savant abilities. Usually, extraordinary abilities come with significant disabilities. Wiltshire has the abilities without proportional impairment. What allows his brain to store and access such detailed memories? Is it more efficient encoding, higher capacity storage, superior retrieval mechanisms? We don't know. Brain imaging shows differences but doesn't explain capabilities. Stephen Wiltshire can do something memory science says shouldn't be possible. He retains and reproduces visual information with photographic precision, consistently, measurably, without any clear neural mechanism explaining it. Moving to person 5 in part 3. Person number 5. Michel Lotito. Michel Lotito, born 1950 in France, known as Monsieur Mangetout, Mr. Eat-All. Between 1959 and 2007, he ate approximately 9 tons of metal and glass. Not small amounts, not accidentally, deliberately, as his career. He ate bicycles, shopping carts, televisions, chandeliers. And most famously, between 1978 and 1980, he ate an entire Cessna 150 airplane. This should be impossible. Metal is indigestible. Glass cuts, sharp edges perforate intestines, yet Lotito consumed metal and glass regularly for nearly 50 years without serious injury. His method was systematic. He broke objects into small pieces, swallowed them with mineral oil as lubricant and large quantities of water. Consumed about 900 grams of metal per day when eating. A typical bicycle took him about 2 weeks. Medical professionals examined Lotito multiple times. His stomach lining was twice the normal thickness. His stomach acid was unusually potent. His intestinal walls were more resilient than normal. But even with these advantages, eating metal should cause problems. Metal doesn't break down in stomach acid. It passes through the digestive system intact. Sharp edges should lacerate tissue. Heavy metals should cause toxicity. Lotito experienced none of this. He digested metal and glass without perforation, without obstruction, without significant toxic effects. Doctors confirmed pieces of metal passing through his system. But he never had a major medical emergency from his eating. He claimed eating metal was easier than eating normal food. Bananas and eggs made him sick. Metal didn't. This suggests his digestive system was fundamentally different from normal human physiology. Gastroenterologists who studied Lotito found his stomach contractions were unusually powerful. His digestive tract had enhanced motility. But this doesn't explain why metal didn't damage tissue. Stronger contractions should make sharp edges more dangerous, not less. One theory suggests his thickened stomach lining protected against cutting, but intestinal walls can't be that thick. At some point, sharp metal should have caused perforation. It didn't. In 50 years of eating metal, Lotito never had a perforated intestine. Another mystery is toxic metal absorption. Lead, cadmium, mercury, many metals are toxic if absorbed. Lotito consumed metal containing these elements, yet he showed no signs of heavy metal poisoning. Either he didn't absorb metals through his intestinal walls, or he eliminated them efficiently. Both scenarios are unusual. Lotito died in 2007 of natural causes, unrelated to his metal eating. He was 57, not especially old, but not young either. 50 years of eating metal didn't kill him, didn't give him cancer, didn't cause organ failure. Medical science can partially explain Lotito: thicker stomach lining, stronger acid, better motility. But it can't fully explain why he avoided the injuries and diseases that should result from eating 9 tons of metal and glass. Michel Lotito's digestive system functioned in ways that shouldn't prevent harm from eating indigestible, toxic, sharp materials. Yet it did. Consistently, for 50 years. Without explanation, moving to person 6. Person number 6. Tummo monks. Tibetan monks practicing Tummo meditation. Not one person, a group. But their ability is consistent enough across practitioners that it represents a distinct phenomenon. Tummo is a Tibetan Buddhist meditation practice. Translates as inner fire. Practitioners claim to generate intense body heat through breathing and visualization. Enough heat to dry wet sheets placed on their bodies in freezing conditions. Western scientists dismissed this as exaggeration until they witnessed it. In 1982, Harvard professor Herbert Benson traveled to Tibet. He studied Tummo monks in the Himalayas at 15,000 feet elevation in near-freezing temperatures. The monks sat outside in light clothing, meditating. Wet sheets were placed on their bodies, 3 by 6 foot sheets, soaked in cold water. In freezing conditions, wet sheets should sap body heat rapidly, cause hypothermia. Instead, the sheets began steaming. Within minutes, they were dry. Completely dry. The monk's body heat evaporated the water. Benson measured the monk's skin temperature during meditation. Their fingers and toes reached 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 38 degrees Celsius. Normal human extremity temperature in cold conditions is much lower. The monks were generating significant heat. Further tests showed core temperature remained stable. They weren't raising their entire body temperature to dangerous levels. They were selectively heating periphery, channeling blood flow to extremities, generating heat at the skin surface. This violates normal thermoregulation. In cold conditions, the body constricts blood vessels in extremities, preserves core heat. The monks did the opposite, dilated peripheral vessels, sent warm blood to fingers and toes, generated heat there. Brain scans during Tummo meditation show unusual activity, hypothalamus activation. The hypothalamus regulates body temperature, but it does so automatically. The monks were consciously controlling it, through meditation, through visualization of fire running through their bodies. Multiple research teams have confirmed this ability, not just Benson, French researchers, American neuroscientists. Tibetan monks can generate measurable body heat through mental practice, enough to dry wet sheets in freezing conditions. The mechanism remains unclear. Are they activating brown adipose tissue like Wim Hof? Are they increasing metabolic rate locally? How does visualization translate to actual heat production? One theory suggests the monks are using meditative focus to override autonomic controls. The autonomic nervous system regulates blood flow and metabolism. Normally, it operates without conscious input. Tummo practice may create neural pathways allowing voluntary control. But even if the monks can consciously control blood flow, that doesn't fully explain heat generation. They're not just redirecting existing heat, they're producing additional heat. Their metabolic rate in extremities increases during meditation. Some researchers propose the monks enter an altered metabolic state, one where local tissues burn more fuel, generate more energy, produce more heat, like localized thermogenesis. But the mechanism for triggering this consciously is unknown. What's clear is Tummo monks can do something medical science says shouldn't be controllable. They voluntarily generate significant body heat through mental practice, measurably, repeatedly, under scientific observation. And we don't understand how. Moving to person 7 in part 4. Person number 7. Liew Thow Lin. Liew Thow Lin, born in Malaysia, known as Magnetic Man. Metal objects stick to his body, not through adhesive, not through tricks, through what appears to be magnetic attraction. In 2003, Liew demonstrated his ability publicly. He attached metal objects to his torso and abdomen, pots, pans, irons. They adhered to his skin, stayed attached even when he moved, even when tilted at angles where gravity should pull them off. This shouldn't work. Human bodies aren't magnetic. We're mostly water, protein, and fat. None of these are magnetic materials. Even our iron content is too low and in the wrong form to generate significant magnetism. Skeptics immediately proposed explanations: suction, friction, stickiness, something other than magnetism, but tests ruled these out. Liew's skin wasn't unusually sticky. Objects adhered even when his skin was powdered to eliminate friction. Non-metallic objects didn't stick, only metal. Malaysian scientists studied Liew at the University of Technology, Malaysia. They measured magnetic field strength near his body, found slightly elevated readings. Not strong, but present. Unexplained. Liew claims his ability developed after recovering from illness. Before that, objects didn't stick. After recovery, they did. He has no explanation for how or why. His three sons also demonstrate the ability. They can attach metal objects to their bodies. This suggests a genetic or familial component. But what genetic mutation would cause human magnetism? We don't have genes for that. Other individuals worldwide have demonstrated similar abilities. Not many, but enough to form a pattern. They're called magnetic people, or human magnets. All show the same characteristics. Metal objects adhere to skin. Non-metal doesn't. No obvious mechanism. One theory proposes high skin friction coefficient. Maybe their skin has microscopic texture that creates strong friction with smooth metal surfaces. But this doesn't explain why non-metal objects with identical surface smoothness don't stick. Another theory suggests electrostatic charging. Maybe their bodies build up static electricity that attracts metal. But electrostatic force attracts all objects, not just metal. And static charge dissipates quickly with contact. It doesn't sustain attraction for minutes. The most controversial theory is actual weak biomagnetism. Some organisms produce magnetic fields, magnetotactic bacteria, certain birds for navigation. Maybe some humans have residual ability to generate weak magnetic fields through unknown biological mechanisms. But measuring equipment doesn't detect fields strong enough to hold metal objects. The measured magnetism near Liew's body is too weak. Physics says it shouldn't work, yet objects stick, demonstrably, repeatedly, in controlled conditions, with witnesses, including scientists. The phenomenon is real. The explanation isn't. Liew Thow can attach metal to his body through a mechanism science cannot identify. It's not strong magnetism, it's not simple friction, it's something else. Something that selectively affects metal objects. Something unexplained. Moving to person 8. Person number 8. Natasha Demkina. Natasha Demkina, born 1987 in Russia. She claims to have X-ray vision, the ability to see inside human bodies, to diagnose medical conditions by looking at people. Her story begins at age 10. She told her mother she could see organs inside bodies, described her mother's internal anatomy in detail. Her mother, a doctor, was skeptical, but Demkina provided accurate descriptions of surgical scars and medical conditions. Word spread. People came to Demkina for medical readings. She would look at them, describe what she saw inside, diagnose conditions, allegedly with high accuracy. In 2004, the Discovery Channel brought Demkina to New York. They arranged a controlled test, 7 volunteers, some with medical conditions, some healthy. Demkina would examine each, try to match person to medical condition. The test had issues. Demkina complained the conditions were artificial. She needed more time, more natural environment, but she participated. She correctly matched 5 of 7 volunteers to their conditions. Is 5 of 7 impressive? Statistical analysis says maybe. Pure guessing would yield 3 or 4 correct on average. 5 is above chance, but not dramatically, not proof of X-ray vision. Skeptics argue Demkina uses cold reading, subtle cues, body language, psychological manipulation, like psychics do. Her diagnoses are vague enough to fit multiple conditions. Confirmation bias makes hits seem more impressive than they are. But some of Demkina's diagnoses are specific, precise locations of tumors, exact descriptions of surgical procedures, details that cold reading shouldn't provide. Russian doctors tested Demkina informally. Some claim she accurately diagnosed conditions without any prior information. Described tumors confirmed by imaging, identified internal abnormalities that X-rays later revealed. One case stands out. Demkina told a woman she saw something wrong with her spine, described the location precisely. The woman had no symptoms, but she got an MRI. There was a small tumor, exactly where Demkina indicated. Early stage. Treatable because of early detection. Coincidence? Possibly. But if Demkina has made multiple such diagnoses, coincidence becomes unlikely. The big question, what mechanism could enable X-ray vision? Human eyes detect visible light. We can't see through opaque objects. To see inside bodies, you need X-rays or other penetrating radiation. Humans don't emit X-rays. We don't have biological X-ray detectors. Some theorists propose she's detecting thermal patterns, infrared radiation. Different tissues emit different heat signatures. Maybe she's unusually sensitive to infrared. But that's not X-ray vision. That's thermal vision, and it can't reveal specific internal structures clearly. Another theory, electromagnetic sensitivity. Maybe she detects slight electromagnetic variations from different tissues, but electromagnetic imaging requires sophisticated technology, not just sensitivity. You need a way to form coherent images from weak signals. Demkina has never been conclusively proven or debunked. Her formal testing was inconclusive. Her informal successes are anecdotal, but numerous. She continues to practice, continues to make diagnoses, some accurate, some not. Whether Demkina truly has X-ray vision or is highly skilled at cold reading remains unresolved. But her claims, and some of her documented successes, challenge our understanding of human perception. If she can see inside bodies, the mechanism is completely unknown. Moving to the final two people in Part 5. Person number 9, Ben Underwood. Ben Underwood, born 1992 in California, diagnosed with retinal cancer at age 2. Both eyes removed at age 3, completely blind, no light perception, yet he navigated the world like a sighted person. Underwood developed human echolocation. He clicked his tongue, listened to the echoes, used the sound reflections to see his environment, like a dolphin or bat. But human. He didn't just detect obstacles. He rode a bicycle, played basketball, played video games, identified objects, navigated complex environments, all through echolocation, through tongue clicks and sound. Studies show blind people can develop enhanced hearing, use auditory cues to navigate. But Underwood's ability went beyond this. He formed detailed spatial maps of his surroundings through sound. He could tell the difference between a fire hydrant and a trash can from their echo signatures. Neuroscientists studied Underwood's brain. Brain scans during echolocation showed activity in his visual cortex, the part of the brain that normally processes vision. Even though he had no eyes, no visual input, his visual cortex was processing sound as spatial information. This demonstrates remarkable brain plasticity. His visual cortex repurposed itself, started processing auditory echoes as if they were visual data, created mental images from sound. But how precise was this? Could he really form detailed visual-like representations? Tests showed yes. Underwood could identify shapes, estimate distances accurately, navigate obstacles at speed. His spatial awareness through echolocation rivaled sighted people's visual awareness in many tasks. The resolution was impressive. He could detect objects a few inches in size from several feet away. Based on echo timing and quality, his brain processed microsecond differences in sound return times to calculate distances and identify objects. Other blind individuals have developed echolocation. Daniel Kish, born blind, teaches echolocation to blind people. But Underwood was exceptional. He developed the skill naturally as a young child. His brain adapted during critical development periods. Acoustic experts analyzing Underwood's clicks found they were optimized for echolocation. Short, sharp clicks with broad frequency range, ideal for generating clear echoes from various surfaces. He didn't learn this from instruction. His brain figured it out through trial and error. The question remains, why can't all blind people do this? Some learn echolocation, but most don't develop Underwood's level of proficiency. Is it age-related? Did his visual cortex repurpose more effectively because he lost sight young? Or was there something unique about his brain's plasticity? Tragically, Underwood died in 2009. Age 16, cancer returned. His life was short, but he demonstrated human capability that neuroscience is still studying. Ben Underwood showed that the human brain can repurpose itself in extraordinary ways, can learn to see through sound, can form spatial representations from acoustic echoes. His visual cortex processed information it was never designed to handle, and it did so with remarkable effectiveness. moving to the final person. Person number 10. Kim Peek. Kim Peek. Born 1951 in Utah. He was the inspiration for the movie Rain Man, but unlike the fictional character, Peek was real, and his abilities were more extraordinary than any script. Peek was a mega savant. He had an eidetic memory for everything he read. He read about 12,000 books in his lifetime, remembered all of them, every word, every page. His reading was unusual. He could read 2 pages simultaneously, left eye reading left page, right eye reading right page, different information streams processing in parallel. He could read a page in 8 to 10 seconds, both pages. His memory was categorized and indexed. Ask him anything from any book he'd read, and he could recall it. Quote entire passages verbatim, provide page numbers, cross-reference information from multiple books. He memorized zip codes, all of them. He could tell you which zip code belonged to any town in America, and which towns shared similar zip codes. He memorized phone books, area codes, maps, music scores, historical dates, sports statistics. Anything he encountered, he remembered. But Peek had significant disabilities. He couldn't perform basic tasks, couldn't button his shirt, had difficulty with abstract reasoning, required constant care from his father. Brain scans revealed why. Peek was born without a corpus callosum, the bundle of nerve fibers connecting brain hemispheres. Most people can't survive without it, or they have severe disabilities. Peek survived, and somehow the absence of this structure gave him extraordinary memory. Without corpus callosum, his brain hemispheres didn't communicate normally. Some researchers theorize this forced each hemisphere to develop independently, created redundant memory systems, allowed parallel processing. His father described Peek as living Google, before Google existed. Peek was a human database. Ask any question within his reading, and he'd answer, instantly, accurately. Scientists studying Peek found his brain had unusual neural connections, pathways that shouldn't exist. His brain had rewired itself around the missing corpus callosum, created alternative routes for information transfer. But this doesn't explain his memory capacity. Human memory has limits. The brain can't store 12,000 books worth of information with perfect recall. The neural density isn't sufficient. The retrieval mechanisms shouldn't be that efficient. Yet Peek could. He remembered everything, not just gist, not just important details. Everything, word for word, page by page, for thousands of books. One theory suggests his memory worked differently. Instead of encoding meaning, he encoded raw data, like saving files on a hard drive without compression. This would require enormous storage, but maybe his brain had higher neural density in memory regions, or more efficient encoding. Another theory proposes his retrieval system was superior. Maybe all humans store more than we realize, but we can't access it. Peek's brain could access everything it stored. Perfect retrieval, no forgetting. Peek died in 2009, age 58. With him went one of the most extraordinary minds ever documented. His abilities remain unexplained. His brain structure was unique, but that uniqueness doesn't fully account for his capabilities. Kim Peek remembered everything he ever learned, accessed it perfectly, processed information in ways neuroscience can't explain. He proved human memory can far exceed what we think is possible. Conclusion: 10 people with abilities science can't fully explain. Daniel Tammet sees mathematics as landscapes and memorizes 22,000 digits of pi. Wim Hof withstands lethal cold and consciously suppresses his immune system. Isao Machii reacts faster than neural speed limits allow. Stephen Wiltshire draws cities from memory with photographic precision. Michel Lotito ate 9 tons of metal without injury. Tummo monks generate body heat through meditation. Liew has metal stick to his body. Natasha Demkina claims to see inside human bodies. Ben Underwood navigated by echolocation with his visual cortex. Kim Peek remembered 12,000 books perfectly. Each represents an extreme of human capability. Each has been studied by scientists. tested in laboratories, documented extensively, and in each case, the full explanation eludes us. We can describe what they do, we can measure it, we can confirm it's real, but we can't completely explain how. Their abilities violate our understanding of human limits. Either these individuals found ways to optimize normal human capabilities beyond what we think possible, or human potential is far greater than we've measured. Or there are rare brain configurations that unlock abilities we don't normally access. This is Detective Vera Nash, closing case file 1048. 10 people with abilities science can't explain. The evidence suggests human capability is more variable and more extraordinary than we assume. What do you think enables these abilities? Are they genetic anomalies, brain differences, learned skills anyone could develop, or something else? Share your theories in the comments. Do you have any unusual abilities? Do you know someone who does? Until next time, remember, the human brain is the most complex object in the known universe. We're still discovering what it can do, and some people are discovering capabilities we didn't know existed. Case closed.